All right. Gluttony could be a number of things. But for the most of us, we identify with gluttony as overeating or just being obese and taking in a lot of food into your body, and it kind of deteriorates your body. For me, gluttony can be also satisfying an over desire that you have that has become everything to you. And so let me talk about the health and physical effects right now. As far as cholesterol is concerned, when you eat a lot, you can have a lot of buildup in your bloodstream. It causes blood clots. It's really unhealthy for you. And through this quote by Orson Welles, gluttony is not a secret vice. So it's not something that can be kept a secret for long, because it will be noticeable physically. Once you start eating a lot more and you're not exercising, you're not using the energy that you're taking in, it's just going to continue building up, and you'll become obese. But it might also not be noticeable to a certain extent to where the blood clotting starts happening because of all the sugars that you're taking in. It's just building up in your bloodstream. So once all that happens, your heart starts failing. Your heart has to pump harder than it ever has to before. So, all right. And looking at it in a philosophical sense, when you're a glutton and you tend to want to satisfy an over desire. Whether that be like education. That's everything to you. It's a good desire to have, to be educated and be intelligent. But when that becomes everything to you and you fail at it, that's all you think about. And then you can't continue moving forward because you're always focused on the mistake. Another one, sex. When you're going around, sleeping around, you can get a disease, or you just continue to free yourself up to other people, and you give yourself with no limits. You're trying to fulfill this over desire of wanting to be loved and to be cherished, or just have this pleasureful moment at the time with no commitment whatsoever. So this tends to bring out the selfishness in people. It shows how selfish we can be, and how prideful we can be, and how far we will go to fulfill this over desire that we have. And once you continue going down this path, it won't be something that you can keep a secret, because it will be so noticeable to people around you. They will see how prideful you become, and how selfish you can become, and people will just don't want to be around you. It's not something that's just physical, that you just take in all this food and all this stuff, but it's the fulfillment of an over desire. Eating is just one of them, and they're all not good for you. So you have to have balance in your life. You need to have certain things in place for you to have ultimate satisfaction. That's it.
Vance, I thought you did a nice job identifying the topic with sort of a definition and an explanation of what it all is, and you've got a personal statement there. At first, it sounded like you were going to skip over the quote, but you got to the quote in the first point. It's interesting that that whole first point really feels disconnected from the rest of the speech, because when you go back to the point that you're really talking about, it's about these overwhelming desires that we have, and I like the idea of that as the structure for the speech, talking about maybe somewhat what some of those desires would be, and then using some illustrations on each of them. Pardon me. The examples, you came up with two examples that were pretty clear at the beginning, or I guess in the body of the speech, I should say, not right at the beginning. One about education and one about sex. I think the sex one, I think most people could understand, and you could come up with some examples on. The education one just felt like, how the heck does that fit in there? It just, I think you got an idea in your head, and that's the one you went with, whatever popped into your head first. The other one makes a lot more sense. And I think if you look back at it and say, well, what is it that people overdo when it comes to gluttony? I mean, how are they gluttons? They might be gluttons for sex. They might be gluttons for work. They might be gluttons for pleasure or something that they want to possess or own or something like that. And maybe that would be a good way to talk about it. I always tell people you give a better speech in the car on the way home. And you'll think of 4 or 5 different ways that you could have gone with this, and I think you're already imagining a couple of those sorts of things in your head. Yeah. Presentation things, but the body of the speech wasn't bad. It was just like there were just a couple of things that you're going off on a tangent on, and I didn't really think that felt connected to the speech. On the presentation issues, your voice is fine, but I think you need a little bit more energy and a little bit more personality there. You come across as a very serious guy, and you're trying to relate to the audience, but it's the subject. It's an impromptu speech, so you have to relax a little bit and try and engage people more. And I think that that doesn't quite come through the way it should. Most of your anxiety comes out in your gestures. When you watch the speech, kind of watch your hands, because you do this thing with your hands where you're putting your fingers together and bouncing your fingers off of each other and locking them and unlocking them, and so that's a little bit of a problem. I think you got better in the last couple of minutes, but when you watch the speech also, you'll notice that because you've got notes and they're down at the side, you just keep looking over there and moving over there to look at those notes, and that really takes you out of the speaking experience also. Those are some things that you definitely want to work on. I thought you did a nice job trying to fill the time, find something intelligent to say. A couple of times you went off on tangents, but there are several things that you could do on the presentation that would help that as well. And then if you had a little bit more focus on what it was you're trying to say at the beginning, that would probably fix some of those later problems. All right, thank you.